everyone. How are you doing today? I'm Gerald. You can find me on Instagram and YouTube as Ginger Gerald Stitcher. And I'm here today with Nicole, the Buckeye Stitcher, on YouTube and Instagram. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Tired, but good.
Yeah.
And we're here to talk cross stitch. Well, and other hobbies, if you have other hobbies. I don't even really know if you have other hobbies.
I do, but not any needle art related hobbies.
Okay. Well, we can get there in a little bit.
Okay.
So, I guess firstly, you live in the, I'm gonna say the wrong name, so you tell me, because I know it's a city name.
I live in Cincinnati.
I always want to say Columbus. I know it's near Cincinnati, but it's not.
I used to live in Columbus. I lived in Columbus for 10 years.
That's why I keep thinking Columbus. So
yeah. Now I'm about 15 miles out north of Cincinnati now.
And Nicole is one of the organizers for StitchCon.
Yep.
So if you're going to StitchCon, you will see Nicole.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. Because how many guests or how many stitchers are going to StitchCon?
150.
That's a lot of people.
We are still, it seems like a lot of people, but it really, a retreat that we did in January, well, I didn't do it, but Barbara, who owns the LNS here, she does a retreat every January. This year there was 113 people. I thought that was going to be a lot, but it really, the space is big enough to accommodate all those people, so you didn't feel like you were cramped with 113 people in a room for a weekend.
Yeah.
So
that would still be a lot of people for me.
I know.
And I thought 50 was a lot at my retreat, so
yeah.
40 or however many we had. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, so how did you get into cross stitch?
My aunt taught me when I was a kid. My aunt was a avid cross stitcher. She doesn't really cross stitch anymore. She's more of a knitter now. Knits everything. So she taught me when I was probably 8 or 10. And so I just kind of have done it from there. I took a big break when I was in college and vet school because I just didn't have the time. And then when I moved to Cincinnati 14 years ago, I found Keepsakes, which is my LNS, and kind of realized what else was out there, besides what I could get at stores. And there really was no online presence then of any stores. So it would be, Joann's, Michael's, and catalogs.
Yeah. So when you did find it again at Keepsakes, was there one pattern that really drew you back, or was it just the overwhelming sensation that there was all this stuff that you didn't know about, or what was it that brought you back?
So I wanted to hobby. I had stuff that I had acquired but never did anything with, and so I kind of just wanted to get back into it. But I think I went because I needed supplies. I don't know if I didn't have fabric or something, and that's why I went. And Barbara told me that I couldn't stitch on Ada anymore. I had to try linen. And so that's when I started stitching on linen. And I feel like that kind of opens up a whole new world because it just gives a different texture or feel to patterns. Sure. And so it kind of introduces you to a different style of patterns. That Russian cat pattern that's sort of full coverage that I'm working on, that's the first time I've stitched on Ada in probably almost 20 years. I kind of like the order of it. I mean, it doesn't, I like linen because I like the feel of it. I like the way it dyes, but I do like Ada because of how orderly it is. I mean, the stitches kind of pretty much do their own thing. You don't really have to manipulate it as much on Ada.
Yeah, they kind of just lay on their own. And
yeah.
Is that what count Ada is that? Do you know?
It's 18 count.
Yeah, I do like 18 count.
Yeah.
Are you doing that 1/1?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think when I had done Ada before, must have done only 14 or 16 because this seems really tight to me even compared to linen that I'm used to. I've stitched on 36 count linen. This just seems really tight to me. So I'm kind of getting used to all that stuff again.
Yeah. So you like stitching on the Ada again?
I do. I don't know if I'll do it for a lot of projects just because I like the way linen finishes, as far as framing and small finishes.
But it's a nice change.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I have a couple other kits that I ordered at the same time that are smaller, and they're meant to be on Ada as well. And I don't have any reason to not do them on Ada.
Yeah.
When I get to them.
Well, that's a good segue. So obviously you like stitching on linen. Is there a specific count of linen you particularly are drawn to, or?
Yeah, I usually do 32 count, but the past year or so, I've started using 36 count more.
Okay.
And that started from the last retreat that Keepsakes had. I did a piece. I bought everything that was supposed to be with the pattern, so 40 count linen, which I'd never used before, and I absolutely hated it. I just could not get the stitches to lay right. The fabric was real loose. And so I just started over, and I thought, well, I still want the petite kind of detailed look of it.
Mm-hmm.
I tried 36. I don't know. I mean, there shouldn't be that much difference between 36 count and 40 count, but there was, and I really like 36 count. I've used 1/1 and I've used 2/1, just depending upon the pattern and what I'm looking for, and it works fine for both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I personally like 36. I prefer 40, but I think I just like the stitching 1/1, and for me it looks better on 40 just because it's a little smaller. But that's just my personal.
1 on 40?
Yeah.
Oh
No, well, I did on Let Freedom Ring because the letters in the blocks, like the lettering, call for 1/1.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But not a whole piece. You haven't done a whole piece.
No, not the whole piece. No.
Yeah.
No, the smallest thing I would do a 1/1 on for the whole piece would probably be 32.
Yeah, I tried it a long time ago on a piece of 28 count even weave, and I just cannot. I love the way over one looks. Like when I go to the shop and I see how stuff's finished over one, I think that I want to try it again. And then every time I do it, I just don't like the way it looks. Mm-hmm. I'm just too critical of my own stitches is the problem.
I say that now, but then, next time you see me, I'll do like a 36 1/1 full coverage. So.
Yeah. I think if I try the linen I used that was 40 count, I think was Lakeside linen, and it's a little bit soft. I think if I used like an R&R linen, mm-hmm. That fabric's a little bit more stiff. I think I might have a little bit more patience for trying that on 40 count.
I agree, because I did my blackwork mushroom.
Yeah.
I did on my Havana. Is that week's? That's week?
Yeah.
And it was so loose and flimsy fabric that the weave just like went with the stitching, like the tension of the stitching, and then like there was these big gaps.
Yeah.
Instead of being, it wasn't stiff enough for my tension
to hold it.
So, yeah. So, but yeah. I have XU Designs. I have not used any of her fabric. I have a number of her pieces, but I don't have any higher counts. Is her 40 count a little bit more rigid? Yes.
Yeah.
Much more than that Weeks was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the Weeks. I like the look of the Weeks. And I like stitching it with X's, but I wouldn't do it with like blackwork or back stitching.
Yeah. Yeah, when I first started stitching again, when I first moved back here, Weeks was pretty much all I used because that's one of the main ones that my shop carries. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know any different. Now that I've used other stuff, when I've gone back to Weeks, I always kind of have to retrain my tension because it is loose.
Yeah.
But I mean, all the older pieces that I have framed are all on Weeks. So it's not that I don't like it. That's all I used to use. But now I've just started using other stuff.
Yeah, I think because I like Lugana so much, and it's a little bit of a thicker, denser fabric. I prefer like the heavier, more rigid linens as well. So and that's why I like the XU Design so much, because it's like a nice feel fabric for me. So since we talked about fabric, what kind of threads do you like? Do you have a preference for threads? Are you an equal opportunity stitcher, or?
Yeah, I think so. Just when I think that I have a company that I'm like, okay, Weeks are my favorite ones, then I'll get a color that just seems like it knots, or I can't get it to lay right. So I don't know that I really have a favorite brand. I like Classic Colorworks. I like their threads, but their colors don't seem to stay very true from lot to lot.
They're pretty random.
Yeah, and my shop doesn't carry a ton of them. She carries a decent amount, and so I haven't used a lot of them yet. I like the floss, but color's not consistent enough. That kind of drives me crazy. dye
So
lots.
do you, okay, so do you use overdyes and specialty flosses more than DMC, or are you kind of like 50-50?
I'd say I'm probably 50-50. So I'm not creative enough, or maybe it's just because I'm a purist. I just usually follow the pattern unless there's a color I don't like. But I have learned with small things that there's no point in doing the overdyed flosses for little tiny spaces.
Yeah.
So I've kind of accepted the fact to change that. But usually I just go with what the pattern calls for unless there's a color that I just don't care for the color when I pull it.
Okay, cool.
But I'm not opposed to using DMC. I mean, if that's what the pattern calls for.
But you're a purist, so you don't really change colors that often.
No, I just can't do it.
Didn't you change the colors on, or maybe that was somebody else, on the reds and the greens on the Christmas one that you did for your sister?
Yeah, I did because I wanted it to look older. But see, that's why I can't do it. So there's like 50 different reds and 50 different greens, right? So just about the time that I think, okay, this looks great, then I'll see another one, 2 spaces over. And so then you got to start all over. Okay, this green and this red. No, this green and that red. And so I just can't. I just drive myself crazy because there's too many options. So I think it's just easier for me to just stick with it.
But see, you did do it, and it turned out nice.
It did, but until I was about halfway through, I still was second guessing the red. Yeah. I'm never satisfied. It has to be perfect.
Yeah, so do I. I'm a perfectionist too, but I think that's what's nice about cross stitching is that what's perfect to you isn't always perfect to me, and I can change it.
Yeah.
And so, you can have one piece and it's perfect for you, and I can completely change it to make it perfect for me. So
right. Yeah. I'm not opposed to people changing it. I like having all the options, but the options are overwhelming to me, and it takes the fun away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we talked XG Designs.
Yeah.
So you use their fabrics. Do you use any other? I know you purchased Picture This Plus before.
Yeah. So I have not used XG. I have purchased from her a couple times, but I have plans for the fabrics that I bought. I think I mostly just started buying them because everybody was, and I wanted to see what they were about, but I have not actually used any of the ones I bought yet. Mm-hmm. I've used quite a bit of Picture This Plus. My shop carries that. I used to order from their Christmas sale. They're not doing it anymore. I have a couple hand dyed by Stephanie. I've only used her fabric twice, I think. So I don't know that I have a fair enough assessment. The pattern, that purple fabric that I did the Quaker pumpkin on.
Oh, yes. Was that royal purple?
Yes. I hated the silk. And so I think the silk was the problem with that, not the fabric. So I don't know that I have enough experience with the hand dyed by Stephanie to say whether or not I like them. Yeah. Weeks, I used to use a lot of Weeks. I really like R&R, even though most of their stuff's neutrals, and I don't always want a neutral.
But you're usually more of a neutral person. At least I remember most of the stuff is more neutral or like.
Yeah. I like the way crazy colors look, but I can never really figure out what you put on them. Like that purple is beautiful, but if I wasn't going to put an orange pumpkin on it, I don't know what I would use it for.
Yeah.
So I think they're pretty, but I don't always know what to use them for. So I do mostly use neutrals.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just got snagged. So, okay, so let's talk patterns, designs. What are you into? Does that change with the season, or are you pretty consistent with? You go okay. Let's start. Okay, let's just start with what are you into right now?
So right now I'm trying to finish those Snowflower Diaries monthly series.
Okay.
I didn't do all 12 of them.
Those are the ones that have the different animal. Are those the free ones that everyone stitched there for a while?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't do all 12. I think I did 7. I just finished May 2 nights ago. I have 1 more month to finish, and then I'm done with the ones that I'm planning on doing. And then I have that Russian cat that I hate.
Love so much.
I love how he looks. I don't know that I love stitching him. And then I have those Halloween ones that I started at the retreat in January. So I'm not really I don't have to stitch the season that I'm in.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So then are you more primitive, more modern? Depends upon the season.
Yeah, I like some primitive stuff. I don't like, I'm not into samplers. I don't do samplers. Yeah, I don't know that I really have a style. I don't like the really modern stuff. Just because it doesn't really, I mean, it's just not my overall style. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not into Lizzie Kate because it's kind of bright colors and kind of cutesy little creatures. Although having said that, all those little Snowflower Diary things that I did all had cutesy creatures on them.
That's why we never say never in cross stitch, because, I never, would have thought I would do a primitive, and then, I go and do all these primitives at one time.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like some primitives, but I would say primitives generally not my typical style. I like Little House Needleworks, and their stuff isn't real primitive, but it's not real detailed either. That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So did you go crazy at market this year?
No. So I'm trying not to buy anything because I have so much stuff that I just don't need to keep getting more stuff. So the only thing that I had Barbara, who owns my shop, bring back was a primitive hair pattern of a hedgehog. And then she prints her own linen. It's got script. It's a script linen back.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't picked it up yet because she was out of the fabric. So she told me just wait till the fabric gets sent over from Italy, and then I can just go pick it all up. And then I also got Kathy Haberman, or Hands on Design, her new ornament series. I stitch my sister and her husband an ornament every year. And so 2 of those are going to be for Christmas gifts.
I'm trying to remember what those look like.
The Tree Farm. The Tree Farm series. So there's one that says Tree Farm, and it's got a little white barn. And then the second one is Cut and Carry. It's like horizontal, and there's little trees across, and it says Cut and Carry with an arrow. And then the third one is a Christmas tree with little houses underneath it.
I can't remember. I'm sure I saw it. I just can't remember it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
They all ran together. They all look the same to me.
Did you get anything?
No.
Yeah. None of that's really.
There's a couple I like that I would maybe down the road if I'm at an LNS and be like, what the heck? But nothing. No, I have so many large projects that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. I saw stuff that I liked, but nothing that I liked is not going to be available 6 months or a year from now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that I didn't really have any reason to mad dash a list because I have plenty of stuff in all my binders to mad dash through.
Yeah.
I feel like you need to do a sampler, though. I feel like even though it's not your style, I feel like
I did do a sampler.
You did?
I would call it a sampler. I would call Let Freedom Ring a sampler. I mean, it's not a true sampler, but it's sampler-esque. It's busy enough to be a sampler because it's too busy for me, honestly. I love the design just because it's architectural and historical.
Yeah.
A little busy for me.
Oh. I just think the sampler would be your style because of all the detail.
Yeah.
But it's too much busy detail for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too dense. Let's put it that way. I even took a couple things off just because it was too dense for me, or reworked it up at the top and it's funny because I showed my brother the piece and he's like, wow, that's too dense. I don't like it. Which, everyone has their own taste to it. And I think that's what I don't like about samplers is just that I'm not a big fan of the alphabet. I don't like stitching letters or words.
Oh.
And so I have no interest in doing that. I don't like the primitive look of the samplers. Even though there's that new sampler that's out by Nicola or whatever.
Nicola Parkman?
Yes, the big bird one.
I don't remember that one.
Something, or I don't know. I would maybe stitch that,
Yeah.
if I had absolutely nothing else in the world to stitch. But I have so many other big projects.
Yeah.
And they're just not really my style.
So why don't you like smalls? Just because there's not enough to
I
it?
do like smalls.
Oh.
I don't have a problem with smalls. I just prefer larger pieces because I like the more detailed things. And the larger pieces just catch my eye more.
Yeah.
But I do have some smalls in the works.
Okay.
And I'm designing some smalls right now.
There you go.
So, because that's what's popular.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind.
Yeah, I just don't, I like I don't want to say I like the instant gratification. I just like doing a project and moving on, doing a project.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I mean, I definitely, I'm looking that way because they're over on the wall that way. My planets that I stitched.
Yeah, those are cool.
Those were small, and I whipped some of those out within 4 hours.
Yeah,
those were simple, easy, things that I like to do, and it was a nice palette cleanser in between, a couple weeks of working on Henry or my other large projects.
Yeah.
And, I call my Riolis Owl a small, even though it's 12 by 16 or whatever size, 12 by 12, or I don't know how big it is, but to me, that's a small.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I'm going to send you that cat.
But I don't know. I prefer the larger. I say that, but then I stress out about it just because they're so large and it takes me so long to see significant progress. But every stitch counts.
That's right. Yeah, I'm not one of those stitchers that's like all about the process. I enjoy the process, but the hobby for me is completing it. Checking it off the list. I'm a list checker, so.
I'm the same way. Like, I like to do both. I like the process. I like sitting down every night and stitching. But I also like seeing progress and getting that finish every once in a while and feeling accomplished. And then having finished withdrawal. Yeah. Yeah. And then, being moody the next day and not wanting to stitch, and then, being all excited for the next whip I pull out. Right. Which I just said, a bad word.
I know. It's all right. I'm used to it. My brain is numb to it.
Yes, I know. And they just start flying out now, and I don't even like the words. It's like.
No, I don't do it. I somehow have shut it off.
Yeah. I don't say them in my videos, my normal videos.
You're right.
I say projects.
Yeah.
And purchases.
Right.
So if you haven't figured it out, we don't like the word the cross stitch vernacular that is found on FlossTuber. So and and then now, have you noticed everyone that I don't know who all you watch, but every time somebody calls something delicious, they apologize to me.
Yeah. That one doesn't bother me, but we definitely have words in common that I'm like, yeah, Gerald, I get you. I totally get you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyways, speaking of getting to that finish, so what do you do with your finishes when you're done? Do you throw them in a box under your bed and forget about them?
No, that I just can't fathom. I usually frame a lot of them, or
do you send them?
No, I take them to the LNS.
Okay.
I may have to start learning how to frame because they're going to stop doing framing as of May 1st. The shop's owned by a couple, and the husband has a chronic back issue, and 20 years of framing has exacerbated that issue. So they're not going to be doing framing after May 1st. They do have someone that they're going to kind of refer us to, I guess. That way it's not just a blind person you've never, submitted a piece to. I'm terrified to go to one of the big box stores just because I've heard so many horror stories. But I guess, at the same side, I don't know what's underneath the frame. I'm not going to care in 50 years, right?
Well, yeah, I think it's more so like whenever you go to the box store and then it's crooked and, they didn't take care of it and, there's fuzz and a stitch out of place or. Right.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff I have framed. I don't hang most of the stuff. I have some stuff hung, but I just buy little like display easels so I can change it out easier from season to season. And then I have a lot of the small stuff, like soft finished, to display.
You do it again?
No, I don't have the patience for that. I will gladly pay someone else to do it. No, I've sent stuff to Vonna before, but our shop has a new finisher, and she's finished two things for me, and she does a really good job. So I would continue to use her. I like using Vonna just because I know what to expect as far as the whole process and the cost. Yeah. But now that I've used the finisher here locally a couple times for small things that, weren't significant things, if it wasn't perfect, it wasn't going to be that big of a deal, I would use her too more frequently.
Well, that's good. And it's local, so you're supporting a local.
Exactly. Yeah, she's a customer of the shop, so, just a big circle of spending life.
That's good.
Yeah.
Fun. Well, we covered the whole gamut. You have anything else to add?
Nope. I think I'm not going to join the knitting wagon. I know I told you I might jump on the bandwagon, but I don't think it's for me.
You say that now.
I know.
We'll give you 6 months. And when we're knitting something fun and cool, you'll be like, oh, I want to knit. And then you'll, go back and watch all those videos.
I just don't want to acquire a bunch of stuff.
I know.
Stuff and all the stuff for the stuff. And yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little overwhelming. Cross stitching is overwhelming enough. I'm not going to add another.
Yeah. I know. And now that I've bought needles and stuff, now I'm like, oh, I need to get better needles. And I need to get better, I mean, I don't care about the yarn right now, but it's like, I need better needles. Not that the needles that I have are bad.
Right. You just need better ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't want the best?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So. Nope. I'm going to stick to cross stitch. And quilting. I'm not quilting either. That's not my style at all. And what do you do with all those quilts, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm not a quilter. I have no interest in quilting. I don't even really care for the look of quilts.
Yeah, I agree.
No offense to anybody who quilts.
No offense.
I'm just not that.
There's just too much going on with quilt.
Yeah. Give me a nice box store comforter any day.
I also don't get the whole cutting up fabric just to sew it back together. Right?
True. I never even thought about that, but that is very true.
Yeah. So, no.
I mean, I guess there's that whole art and historical perspective of it that a lot of people get into, and which is all fun. Yeah. I mean, I get it, but.
Yeah. So I don't have any other needle art hobbies to discuss. So yeah, I think we covered it all.
Paper crafts, right?
I used to, and that's another reason why I don't want to start knitting is because I haven't done paper crafts in 2 years, and I have a bunch of stuff that I bought that's just kind of scattered all over the spare computer room that it's just sitting there doing nothing, and I could be making space for other stuff and getting rid of clutter.
Yeah.
So I have a neighbor that sells it. She sells Stamping Up stuff, which is a company that, the paper and the ink are the same color and the embellishments are the same color, and you can all these punches to make shapes, and it just keeps adding on and adding on and adding on. And when it's next door, it's easy to just get the new catalog and place an order. But
of course.
Yeah. And I haven't done it. I would say I probably haven't done it in 2 years. So out it goes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Cross stitches. Fun.
Yeah.
Sorry, hit the table. It's expensive anyways. It's expensive enough.
Yeah, exactly. And there's, like you said, better needles. There's more fabric and more needles and more project bags. And where does it all go?
Constantly new patterns and designers and new flosses and fabrics and techniques. And so.
Are you going to try the new Victorian motto threads everybody's talking about?
No.
Me either.
Not at this time. I say that.
Yeah.
But not at this time. No, I have enough, and I've really I have a lot of big kits, and all my kits come with the flosses already. So I have all of these designer flosses that I just have sitting in a box.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
So
I don't have any reason to because I don't comfortably change colors. So, you know, that's just, I'll suck up more time exchanging out my colors than I would stitch.
I think the colors look great, and I think it's a great value.
Right.
And, you know, I would definitely, if I did that kind of stuff more often, or I did samplers or, you know, designs that opted me the opportunity to change my colors more often, but I don't really do that kind of project at the time.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But when the time comes, you never know. So. Okay, well, we're going to end it there for today.
Okay, sounds good.
And definitely go check out Nicole on her channel, Buckeye Stitcher. I had to look down because of like I already forgot what it was. I don't know why. I always think about it. I'm always seeing it on Instagram. So Buckeye Stitcher on YouTube, Buckeye Stitcher on Instagram. It'll all be linked below.
Okay.
And check out her channel. Give her some love, and we will see you next time on the next episode. Take care.
Bye. Thanks for having me, Gerald. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.